Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into another thoughts video. So the first video of 2025 is going to be a thoughts video. Who would have ever thought? You know, considering all these clowns want to say all I do is rage bait, all I do is troll, who would have thought that I would sit here and make a thoughts video, a video where I'm not just going to suck something off and claim it's the best thing ever, but also a video where I'm not just going to fucking call a series trash. So Castlevania Nocturne Season 2, guys, listen, what we're going to do here is an off-the-cuff thoughts video. I'm just going to go straight into it, so I'm not going to sit here and recap it like I usually do with other anime. If you're here, I'm kind of assuming that you've watched the anime because, I mean, like, that's the whole point, unless you just want to have it spoiled for you. I mean, that's cool too, but I'm just going to go over what I thought was good, what I kind of had mixed feelings on, and what I felt was a negative. So, guys, Castlevania, hold up. By the way, I made a first video on the first season of this anime when it came out, and basically what I said was I liked it, I thought it was good, but it was pretty much just an introductory season, and it would have to deliver in the second season. It would have to have more to it to actually be considered a great anime, and I just want to say that I think that it definitely delivered in the second season. I think season 2 vastly improved over the first season. The story flows very well. It progresses smoothly throughout the entire season. It really just came through in pretty much every way. Like, every character in this season gets their moments. They have significant development or interaction with the plot. There's not many characters who are just background characters and wasting time on the screen like a bunch of garbage shonen. And at first I was a little concerned because you have a lot of characters in this season, and I thought some of them would just get wasted, but from what I recall, most of them had their moments. Like, at first, like Olrox, I thought he wasn't going to get used that much, but by the end, he comes through. Like, there's just a bunch of characters that do that. Like, they get utilized well, and by the end of the season, the writing is just satisfying. Like, it feels like something is always happening in this show. It's really fucking dope because you have a lot of anime that just waste your fucking time, like One Piece and other shonen, you know, Naruto, Bleach, you know, the big three, and just pretty much any modern anime. I mean, my god, the characters are always fucking wasted as well. They basically become shows dependent upon one character and not an entire cast, but Castlevania Nocturne 2, or Season 2, does that very well. And it's just satisfying, guys. The art and animation as well, they're fucking fantastic, which is funny because you have all these casuals and these shills, these fake anime fans who claim to love anime when really they just like flashy fights and pretty colors, but yet they're not here watching that. Oh, that's because that's right. They don't really even care about flashy fights and pretty colors. What they care about is what their shepherd has to say, what their favorite garbage anime channel has to say, what their favorite reaction channel has to say. It's fucking pathetic. You people are sad fucks, and you need to do better. This is getting ridiculous. It's 2025. We're in January 2025, and you people are out here still behaving like fucking degenerates. Still behaving like a bunch of fucking losers. It's incredibly sad, but nonetheless, guys, a lot of positives in this season. The fights are so fluid and smooth, man. It's really dope. And admittedly, guys, I don't really care about fights much when it comes to anime, but obviously this is like a big fighting anime, a vampire and fighting anime, a lot of blood, a lot of gore. It's going to be edgy, but it's edgy in a good way. You know, it doesn't just sit here and be edgy for the sake of being edgy, and it doesn't just show blood because it wants to be edgy. No, it's like it's good. You actually have plot progression here. So yeah, you have the main characters basically in this season traveling to Paris to get the mummy of Sekhmet, and they end up doing that. So you could say it's just a fetch quest, but it really doesn't just boil down to that, because there's actually a lot of development with these other characters like Richter and Annette. They really bond in this season. Annette's going into the fucking spirit world and doing a whole fucking adventure. Alucard is trying to learn from his past, but while at the same time not trying to get too attached to these people. But at the end, you know, he kind of resolves that. It's just interesting. Basically, they all have development. You got all these other side characters, Olrox, Mizrag. You even have the fucking Abbott, bro. Like, it's crazy, dude. The villains in this show are fucking dope too. You have erzsebet, Bathory, and Drolta. They're just dope, bro. Like, the designs are amazing. Their motivations are amazing. Yeah, you can say it's a simple vampire story about vampires wanting to take over the world, because that's what the first series did, right? But the way they do it, it feels like it's an actual threat, and it's refreshing. It feels new because, like, the threat is actually engaging. You have this whole Egyptian, like, fucking god element added to the story. It's fucking dope. And ultimately, it gets satisfied. I mean, it gets concluded in mostly what I find to be a satisfying way. Like, really, it was building up towards the ending. I thought it slowed down a bit, and I do have a few complaints with the ending, but I think overall, if they call this series where it is right now with season 2 and they don't continue it, I think for the most part, most people would be like, okay, it makes sense because they conclude the fights with Erzsebet and Drolta. Now, however, they do leave like room to continue a story. Like they have that old man coyote character coming in. It kind of seems like they're going to do something with him later on. Richter says that he's going to kill Olrox later on, so maybe they could do that with the season 3 or like have a whole new storyline based on that. So there's room to go either way here. You see what I'm saying? But and of course I would like it to go further in seasons, but I really don't know what it's going to end up like because I haven't seen too much from the casuals. You know, I'm not seeing these garbage ass reaction channels sucking it off. I mean, I'm seeing a few anime channels talking about it, but honestly I don't really watch much anime channels, so I'm not going to know whether or not these people are just fucking fake anime fans and they're trying to farm some engagement from it being popular and new right now. But it doesn't seem like it's going to be one of those overwhelmingly popular animes, which is sad because it actually deserves the popularity it would gain, but it's also good because then it's somewhat kept in a position where it's kind of gate kept from all the casuals. So I don't know, man, make of that what you will, but everything that I just laid out pretty much I would consider a positive. Now I want to move into some of the neutrals and some of what I have mixed feelings on, and that actually has to do with whether or not this show gets renewed for a 3rd season, because it seems like even though there is a way to continue a 3rd season or to continue into a 3rd season, it doesn't seem like there's too much room to make content for an entire season. Because yeah, you could have him try to kill Olrox, even though they kind of resolved their hostilities, it kind of seemed like, even though obviously like Olrox killed Richter's mom, so he's not going to just get over that, but it kind of seems like they don't really hate each other, and Olrox is kind of redeeming himself. So I don't know if you can make a full season about that. The Old Man Coyote character, depending on what he actually entails, how like dangerous of a threat he is, if he's even actually the bad guy, because some people seem to think that like it's just like Old Man Coyote is Death, I guess. So I don't know if that's a bad guy or not. I mean, Death was in the fucking original Castlevania series from like 2017, so I don't know what they're going to do with that. But I just have a hard time seeing like what they would continue the story with, because at the end, you know, Richter goes to Haiti with the net, so are they going to continue the story over there? Are you going to do like a new one with new characters? Are you going to go back to Dracula? Because, I mean, it's Castlevania, so that would make sense. And if they introduce Dracula, he would only probably be like, he would probably be like the only other threat more dangerous or menacing than like Erzsebet, which I feel like you have to have a good villain in Castlevania because that's the whole fucking thing. Like, it's a vampire series. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know what they'll do. Also, I think I recalled hearing that in the games, Richter ends up meeting Dracula at some point, so maybe they'll go back to Dracula in the show if it continues, which would be cool. But is that the right move? I really don't know. So it's not too much of a complaint with the show. It's just like, if it continues, where does it go? But also, of course, I would like to see another season because the show's fucking good. So I don't know. I don't know where they go from here. At the same time, though, like, you know, the storyline pretty much concluded everything for the most part. So if they wanted to call it here, they could. You know, they beat Erzsebet, they killed Drolta, and they make Sekhmet whole pretty much. Annette survives as well. So I don't know. I don't know what they can do here. Either way, though, I guess it's cool, but I'd prefer they continue it with the 3rd season. But, you know, if they get renewed, I'm sure their writers are going to be able to cook something up. So I'm not too worried about that. It's just something I got to keep my eye on. Another thing that was neutral, though, would be some of the deaths in this show. In particular, I feel like the abbot, he dies in episode 4, I believe, and Maria kills him, which was also kind of funny, by the way, because Maria hears that Alucard killed Dracula, and then she's like, okay, bet, if you can do it, I can do it better. And she ends up doing that, and while it's understandable that she killed the abbot because he's the one creating the army of night creatures, right? So he has to be killed. It kind of seems like it came a bit too quickly. His death did. Maybe that's because I watched this show like in the span of 24 hours, like after it came out. So maybe that's why that pacing felt like it went a little fast. By the way, guys, the pacing overall is fucking phenomenal. I really enjoyed it. I probably should have said that in the positives earlier, but overall the pacing is dope. All right. So another death would be Erzsebet's and Drolta's as well. I kind of feel similar with theirs, how I feel about the Abbots, because I kind of had the impression that this show's pacing was great, but the villains could have stayed around longer, and the Abbot, I guess, would qualify as a villain as well. But with the Abbot, it's like, it seemed like he had a chance to redeem himself, like he was going to come back into the light, because he was like the religious character, and he doesn't want to work for Erzsebet, and the night creatures are kind of like divided. At one point they start clashing, you know, you have the ones who remember their past lives and the ones who don't, and it seems like he was on the side of the ones who remember their lives, and he doesn't want to do her bidding. So maybe somehow they could have went some way with that, but no, he just ends up getting burnt by a fucking dragon, which was a cool death, admittedly, but it was just like, I feel like they maybe could have done more with that. I don't hate it overall. It's not a deal breaker for me. But I feel like he was there to extend the storyline somehow, and he didn't fully get his like redemption arc, or his storyline was fully complete other than, I guess, serving as development for Maria, which I was like, I didn't really expect 100% for Maria to kill him, because it's like, yeah, you hate him, but he's your father, you know, that's fucked up. But at the same time, it's not like I don't know, like, he's her father. So is she really gonna kill him? And she does. And I'm like, I understand why she hates him, because her mom got turned into a vampire because of her, and he was willing to sacrifice her to Erzsebet, so I guess that makes sense. So I don't really have an issue with that, I guess, but it just felt like maybe it came a little too suddenly. But then again, that could have been because I was watching the show fast. Also, guys, with Erzsebet and Drolta's fights, more particular with Drolta, I feel like she got killed a bit too quickly after she had powered up. You know, she betrayed Erzsebet, which was a good plot twist. I didn't actually see that coming, but it seemed like as soon as she drank Erzsebet's blood, she powered up, and then she died like 5 minutes after, you know, because Richter powered up, which is fine and all, but I feel like maybe that's something they could have saved for a season 3. Maybe they could have continued that later on. And also in that final fight, I feel like more characters should have died, because really only Erzsebet and Drolta ended up dying, because Mizrag ends up turning into a vampire, so he doesn't die. And in that whole fight, I feel like Erzsebet should have done more damage, because she had 2 bodies, or 2 of the mummies of Sekhmet, while she was fighting the one in Annette who possessed Annette's actual body, right? Well, Annette was in the physical world, I mean the spiritual world. So I feel like she should have done more damage. Maybe she should have at least killed like Juiced or maybe Maria before she died, because like she's the final villain. I feel like she should have taken someone out. You know, it's not a like plot hole or plot problem with that. It's not like a plot breaking problem to me, but I just feel like if she was this big of a threat, she probably should have at least killed one of the main characters or the supporting characters in that final fight, or maybe Drolta should have, since she betrayed Erzsebet, you know what I mean? So that's pretty much it for my mixed feelings, my neutral position on this anime, I think. So let's move into some of the negative, guys, and I want to start off with one that's not that big of a deal, but that's how Drolta survived in her backstory. So throughout the whole show, you basically have like these flashbacks where Drolta is back centuries ago, basically, and she's like a priestess of Sekhmet, and she's doing her duty for her, like she's serving her. And at one point, you know, her temple gets raided, and it almost looks like she was about to die, but then like she blacks out. So it was either she got knocked out or she got stabbed. But before the screen went black, it looked like she was gonna get killed, but that didn't end up happening. So I don't know like why they did it like that, or it could have just showed her getting knocked out, because it just seemed like she was gonna die, but she was the only one that survived. And then she kills that vampire, which could have gone the other way easily, I guess. But it's not too much of a problem for me. I just felt like it was kind of unnecessary to throw that in there. But next up, guys, for another big negative, to me at least, was how some of the night creatures remembered their past lives, while the other ones didn't. Like the ones created earlier by the abbot did, or did not. But the newer night creatures did remember it, like the French lady that got killed, the French captain of the Revolutionary Guard, and then you have Edouard. Like, they pretty much remember their whole fucking life. So I'm like, I don't feel like that was entirely explained. Maybe I missed it. You know, if you guys have watched it and you picked up on something I didn't, you know, feel free to let me know, because I'm interested. But I don't really understand. I just don't feel like that was fully explained, and that kind of is a bit of a plot issue. But overall, it's like it created for an interesting dynamic, so it was cool. And maybe I'm just overlooking something. I'll have to think about it later. But right now, I feel like that would probably be one of the biggest issues. Or when Drolta betrayed Erzsebet and she drank her blood, that didn't entirely make sense to me, because Drolta was basically trying to find a vessel or a vassal for Erzsebet this entire time. Or not Erzsebet, of Sekhmet. She found Erzsebet eventually. But she was basically bringing all these people to drink Sekhmet's blood to try to channel Sekhmet inside of them. And all of them who would drink it were unworthy, I guess, and they would burn up and die. But when Drolta betrays Erzsebet and she drinks Erzsebet's blood, she becomes Sekhmet. So I'm like, was she Sekhmet this whole time? Like, was she able to become Sekhmet this whole time, or did she just get strong enough once she got like reincarnated through the Forge Master thing, I guess? I just feel like it wasn't entirely explained. Like, maybe that would be why, but it doesn't really make all that much sense, like why she couldn't have just became segment a long time ago, or why she waited. Maybe she just now realized that like she was stronger than erzsebet and erzsebet wasn't worthy, so she was the only one who could be it. But at the same time, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense because she was directly worshiping segment, so it's not like they could be one and the same. I feel like, I don't know, it just doesn't make that much sense to me. Another thing, speaking about the Forge Master quickly, would be how the abbot revived Drolta, because erzsebet was saying that vampires don't have souls, or no, it wasn't erzsebet that was saying vampires don't have soul, it was the abbot. So I don't know if that was just a lie or not, but he was saying that Drolta wouldn't be able to be revived through the forge because she doesn't have a soul, but she does end up getting revived through the forge. So does that mean vampires have souls and that they could have all been reincarnated through the forge and they just chose not to do that? Or like, what was the deal with that? Now, of course, the abbot gets killed, so at a certain point in the story, he can't create new night creatures and he can't revive vampires. But it feels like if they knew that before, the abbot or erzsebet would have had like her slain vampires being recreated, not just the night creatures, right? I don't know, maybe I'm off the mark there, but I feel like that wasn't entirely explained, and that was probably one of the biggest issues of this story, along with the night creatures remembering their past lives and then how Drolta drank the blood. One more thing would be the pacing with some of the fights, guys. I feel like, especially towards the end in those final fights, some of the fights were way dragged out. I feel like maybe that's just me because I'm not huge on fights anyways, but it felt like some of them overstayed their welcome, especially when it was just like the main cast kicking erzsebet's ass, because it was like they were all just trying to get highlight reels, it seemed like, which they delivered in that sense. Like the animation and the fighting and the art style was cool. It was produced well, but it seemed like they were just keeping the fight going so that they could all keep getting multiple fucking cool ass scenes while they're fucking up erzsebet, right? But I feel like they should have given erzsebet more scenes to fuck up the main characters, you know, Just, Maria, and Richter, at least in that fight, because Alucard wasn't there. But maybe I just need to rewatch the fight. Maybe I'm completely off with that. I don't know. My thoughts will probably change later, guys. You know, this is just my off-the-cuff thoughts. I'm just sitting here kind of giving you my initial impressions, and I'm curious to see what you guys think. So that's pretty much it for the negative. But overall, guys, this series satisfied me, and I'm content with what we got. If they do decide to conclude the series here, of course, I would like to know more, but knowing the shape of this industry is up in the air because these casuals don't actually care about quality, so it's unlikely that they'll be here. Now, with that being said, guys, I don't want to sit here and say, like, this is the best anime ever. I'm not trying to suck it off or glaze it or give it a sloppy blowjob, you know what I'm saying? I'm just telling you my thoughts on it, because if I make a thoughts video, I'm not just going to glaze something, but I'm not just going to completely shit on it, you know what I mean? Like, that's why it's a thoughts video. But of course, people just think I'm hating and they just think I'm trolling. But also what's funny is, like, these people say I'm hating and I should do positive videos, but when I make positive videos, aka these thoughts videos, they don't care for substantial points or analytical breakdowns of what's good and what's bad. So it's just very funny because these people are a bunch of fucking morons and they think that they're fooling me, but it's like, I already know you people are like that, so stop saying you want positive videos when you're only gonna watch the hate ones. Like, you people are fucking morons. Not that I care if you watch these, I do these more so for me, and I want to reach out to people that are interested in actually discussing them, which isn't going to be the main audience of my channel, but nonetheless, I just thought that was funny and interesting to point out at the least. But nonetheless, guys, like I said, these retarded low IQ casuals for the most part can't be bothered to even watch this because their favorite reaction channel isn't reacting to this anime, and their favorite degenerate subreddit isn't going to be talking about it. So who knows, like, what's going to happen, whether or not this show gets renewed. I just don't feel like it might be getting enough popularity to the point where it needs to. But at the same time, season 1 got renewed, so I think it's kind of like 50-50. I really don't know what the numbers are like at all. So I'm just saying this in case it doesn't get renewed. I'm blaming the casuals, these garbage anime channels, and just the anime industry as a whole. Like, you guys are fucking pathetic. And some people, by the way, might say, oh, this isn't an anime, dude, it's American made, which I think it is American made. I'm not sure, but the first one was, so I think this is too. But you guys can go fuck yourselves. It looks like an anime, it moves like an anime, so I'm calling it an anime. If you got a problem, you can suck my cock. But what's also funny about the shape of this industry is that this anime is full of flashy fights and pretty colors, so even though it's right up these casuals' alleys, these fake anime fans' alleys, most of them won't care, which just goes to show you really that this industry isn't actually about liking what they claim to like. It's about being a sheep and following their favorite garbage anime channel. But whatever, like, we already knew that, but you know, if some casual does slip through the cracks and get to this point in this video, we know the game, motherfucker. You aren't pulling the wool over anyone's eyes. You're not sneaky, you're not intelligent, you're a fucking idiot, and you're a fake anime fan. I don't like you people. But nonetheless, guys, that has nothing to do with Castlevania Nocturne Season 2. But this is my thoughts video, and I'm sure that not many people on this channel have seen it or care to, but nonetheless, if you have, I'd like to know what you have to say about it. And I do these videos because I like to, and because I like to see some variety on this channel and less negative content too, because you know it can get boring doing the fucking the trash videos all the time. No, I mean, you know, they're generally always fun, but right now, you know, it's January, guys, so there's not that much shit coming out yet. But also I like to wait for a few episodes to come out before I criticize something, because I'm not just gonna sit here and make a video and talk without actually saying anything like some of these other shitty channels, you know what I'm saying? But what's also funny, guys, is that some of these fat slobs, basically all these fat slobs, actually watch my videos to hate watch. I guess because I speak the truth on their favorite anime, so they won't be bothered to watch this video, even though they complain that I only hate anime and I don't like any anime. Even though in my thoughts videos I generally talk about series I like I'm not just gonna sit here and glaze a show. I don't believe it's a black and white situation, guys. No show is going to be flawless, and that's why I like to break it down. But nonetheless, those retarded cunts don't care. But to those that do enjoy my thoughts videos and stuck around to listen to what I had to say on this anime, thank you guys for watching or listening. And if you've seen this, feel free to let me know what you thought about the series. Overall, I'd say this season was definitely an improvement over the first season, and I don't know if I want to say this is better than the first series, just Castlevania. I kind of lean towards the first one being better. Although I feel like this one has better characters in a way, because it was more like a 3-character show before. But actually I can't really even say that though, because Isaac and Hector and then Carmilla, like the villains, were fucking dope in the first series. So I don't want to touch that, guys, but if you have a preference on the first series or Nocturne, let me know what you think is better. Right now I'm leaning towards the original, but that might be subject to change. I really don't know. Anyways though, guys, I will get back to exposing the slop and speaking facts on the popular garbage here soon. But like I said, this month just hasn't been very eventful, and I like to wait for current airing anime to get a few episodes out at least before I criticize it. I'm not just gonna be one of these clowns who sits here and says something sucks but won't back it up. So with that being said, guys, Castlevania Nocturne, anime of the year 2025. I know it's January, so you might think, how can you say that? Well, I can say that because 99% of the anime that come out this year are going to be garbage, and I doubt that there will be one that is better than Castlevania Nocturne Season 2, at least one that I watched. So that is my claim. If that changes later, I will let you know, but for now, so come the end of 2025, you already know what my anime of the year is. Now that might sound like I'm just hyping this anime up or sucking it off, but I'm really not if you actually listen to the substance. That's just how I feel about it. That's just the reality of the situation, at least for me. But of course you guys can disagree and feel free to discuss it. So anyways, guys, I'm gonna get up out of here. Those are my thoughts on Castlevania Nocturne Season 2, and I'm interested in hearing yours. So alright, guys, take care and shout out the motherfucking intellectuals.